Hello, everybody. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed from Kenworthy's Motocross Park in Troy, Ohio, as the 125 riders take a parade lap to survey the course. Steve Lampson dominating this season so far, out in front of John Dowd by 89 points. Kevin Windham making a big run for second. Marty.
Guys, Mike Brown can't buy a break, and break's probably the wrong word to use. Remember, he's coming off that arm injury from St. Louis. He has 2 fifth-place finishes in a row, but earlier in practice today, he caught his thumb in a fall in the chain of Damon Huffman's machine. Now, he has made his warm-up lap. He thinks he's going to be okay, but it's going to be very hard for him to grip, and will he have the stamina to go the full 30 minutes?
Well, that's going to be painful, or just the vibration on the handlebars alone is going to make that thing hurt. And taking a look at the Suzuki track map, the track really hasn't changed at all since last year in terms of the layout, but they've added a few whoop-de-doo sections and some jumps that are a little bit different angle this year, and the starting line is all on fresh grass. Once they get out onto the dirt, chewed up, the soil is perfect. Perfect traction for these 125s.
The riders at the gate right now. The weather's in great contrast to last year, where the humidity and temperatures were in the high 90-degree range. It was stifling as we get set for moto number 1 of the 125s. And they're off. Oh, breaking from the gate beautifully is Steve Lampson. He'll be hard to catch with this great start. Steve Lampson gets the whole shot. Right there is Michael Craig. You'll notice number 17 and number 14, Robbie Raynard. Number 7 is John Dowd, as Steve Lampson has the early lead here in moto number 1.
And another advantage for Lampson, besides just the hole shot, is Kevin Windham, who's been so fast, is pretty far back in the pack. So that's going to give Lampson some breathing room, although Raynard right there is really close. Kind of a question mark right now. When he's on, he is very fast.
Lampson, Raynard, and Michael Craig. You'll notice Michael Craig, number 17, in blue uniforms, not in the traditional red and black of Honda of Troy. They use these blue uniforms for special occasions. And, of course, Honda of Troy just down the road a piece. Oh, Raynard tripled where Lampson only doubled that little one.
That's going to be a tricky section, depending on whether you're in the lead, trying to decide whether you should go tight or wide. If you go wide the way Raynard and Craig did, you're able to triple that section coming in there, and it gives you a good run through that long section. And I think we'll see some passes there as the race continues.
Lampson, it's obvious, is focused on pulling away from the pack early.
It sure looks that way. He's aggressive right now, and what you'll see happen a lot of times in this 125 class is everyone's so even is they'll stay pretty close for a while. That won't bother Steve, though, because he knows he'll be able to pull away later in the race.
In fourth, number 7 is Dowd, then Ferry, number 20. Number 455 is Brian Roth, and it's a long time coming before we see Kevin Windham. He must be in about 15th position, David Bailey.
Not where he wants to be. You can see the difference out front. For Steve, it's clear sailing. There's nobody in front of you. There's very little roost. You can establish your pace a little bit better with all the front runners. When you get back there in 15th, 20th place, there's so many guys in your way. By the time you work your way into a good position.
Here comes Chad Pedersen, number 21.
And you can see Windham right there to the right of your screen, searching for a line that isn't already taken. That's going to be tough in the first few laps for him to work his way through a lot of these riders. He's capable of running faster than. By the time he gets up where he belongs, the leaders will be long gone.
The leaders now starting to space out a bit. Yes, Windham did get a slow start, but in his defense, this is the first time he's seen this track. His rookie season last year, but he had mono. So he tries to feel his way into these new tracks and comes on strong at the end of most of them. Robbie Raynard in second now, starting to get a little challenge from Michael Craig, number 17.
Well, Craig knows the importance of the first few laps and really putting some time on the rest of the field. Both those guys getting through that berm just like it was a slingshot. Good balance right now. Like I said earlier, when Raynard is riding well, he is a lot of fun to watch. The guy is so fast, and it doesn't look like he's trying very hard. Very effortless.
Both these guys have had real yo-yo seasons. Raynard starting the season with a broken vertebrae, crashed and separated his shoulder. Had a flat tire when he was leading at Glen Helen. Number 14 has had a lot of bad luck this year. Craig also started the season off with a broken leg. He's had crashes, numerous crashes. Even had to go to the LCQ one time.
Raynard there checking over his shoulder, seeing, I think he's looking back past Craig, seeing where everybody else is. Right now, though, he's staying very close.
25 and 250 outdoor champions. Honda, come ride with us. Welcome back to motocross action from Kenworthy's Motocross Park in Troy, Ohio. Our leader is Steve Lamson. Battling it out for second place right now is Robbie Raynard, number 14, and number 17, Michael Craig from Honda of Troy.
And the way those guys got through that left-hand berm right there, great balance. These guys are all riding perfect right now and staying evenly spaced throughout these first few laps. Lamson's not able to get away like I would have expected. Raynard is riding good, and Craig is keeping him in check right there. A little mistake.
And Craig makes the pass. One little bobble can mean a position in this race when they're that close. Michael Craig in second place.
Hits his shoulder on the tree right there. They have to get so close to the tree. That's why they got the hay bales there, and Mike is able to keep his front wheel still in the berm, but a little bobble from him. It's more of a one-line section that wouldn't have allowed Raynard to get around, though.
Right now, the leaders are approaching a section where Tim Ferry remembers well last year, getting clipped by a flying machine trying to get off the track after he went down. Michael Craig in second place with Raynard in hot pursuit.
This is a tricky section right here. You see that deep rut that Craig's riding through. Raynard elects to go all the way around it. In the opening lap, Lamson was stopped up on the top, cut to the inside. So a difference of opinion through there. What's the fastest line?
This is the race within the race for second place here in the early going, and Michael Craig gets cross-rutted there a bit, and Robbie Raynard puts on the throttle.
Oh, Craig just leaned a little bit too far to the inside, cut out of that berm, and lost all his speed. Looked like he smacked his knee on the handlebar, and that was all Raynard needed.
Robbie coming off a 10th place finish at Unadilla. He was 4th here last year. Marty's on his way over toward his mechanic and father.
Hi, guys. Hey, you know you got to be doing good when we come talk to you. Don't look so disappointed when you see me.
I'd rather you talk to the rider.
Well, if he keeps riding like this, we will, because this will be his best run of the season.
Yeah, I know. I'm just hoping he keeps his mind going. He wasn't real happy with the way he rode practice. He doesn't feel real strong right now, but he's trying.
As we take a look at the Suzuki stopwatch to give us a good indication as to the interval, Steve Lamson, our leader, the defending champion. Back to Robbie Raynard, about 3.8 seconds, and then Michael Craig. Look, we've got a pack of 3 down. John Dowd, Tim Ferry, and Damon Huffman trying to pick up the slack between the leading pack.
It looks to me like Huffman's really putting the pressure on these guys, starting to tighten the screws, and that's picking up the pace of this trio. And then Raynard's father talking about Robbie not feeling very good, not feeling 100%.
Oh, good pass by Damon Huffman. He went to the outside, like you said, got the momentum to triple. Ferry doubled.
That was an excellent line. Ferry went out there and had the run at it, but he didn't go out wide enough. I think he was afraid Huffman was going to cut underneath him, and then he got past anyway.
Lee McCullum, Tim Ferry's mechanic, looking very intently as these 3 battle it out behind the top 3 riders in our moto. David Huffman gives him a wheel inside to John Dowd. Now goes to the outside. Oh, good battle going on here.
He's really starting to put on the pressure, and this is part of the track where some of the sections are one line, and Huffman's just finding more room. Stands up a little bit more than some of the other riders, a little bit taller. Kind of looks big for that 125, but fast on it. He's got great balance and a good technique. You can see he clears those jumps a little bit differently than Dowd. Seems to be the faster of these 3 guys right now.
Huffman in his 3rd race back from injury. ACL injury, cuts to the inside on Dowd, and he's now in 4th spot.
Now it'll be interesting to see if he pulls away from these guys pretty quickly. He was able to get around them pretty easily. He's got the confidence to go to the outside right there.
Challenged once again by John Dowd.
I think he knew he had just enough room to hold off that spot. He knew that if he could go out wide and still do that triple, that by the end of that section he would have a little bit extra room.
Continuing to improve at Buchanan, he ended up 10th overall, 8th at Unadilla. He's looking to improve every week.
And that's what the rest of the season really is for Damon. I mean, there's no way he can win the title. The injury really took him out of the remaining portion of the Supercross series. So now it's just get back in there, get comfortable, and be strong for next season.
Robbie Raynard and Michael Craig, 2nd and 3rd behind Steve Lamson.
I started to point out before that Robbie's dad, when he was talking to Marty, was saying how Robbie was uncomfortable and he's not 100%. Well, I'd sure like to be running second like that and not be 100%. He's still pretty close to Lamson. You can see there just going through your screen.
Recently, there's been a lot of talk about the youthfulness of Olympians and when they should actually start such concentrated training. Well, the Robbie Rayner story is an interesting one, isn't it, David?
It is, because there was the huge contract from Kawasaki. He turned pro the earliest possible age, and there was so much expectation because he was so good during the amateur ranks, winning in Ponca City and Loretta Lynn's. And it's tough. You move up to the pros, and it's a little bit different. The guys push you around a little bit, and all that expectation is tough for a 16-year-old to handle, and especially that kind of salary, too.
Whoa, Chad Pedersen, a little bit of trouble right there in 7th place behind Ferry and John Dowd. And here comes Kevin Windham.
Windham, another story similar to Robbie Rayner, where he started early, and I think Hannah said it best. He said he didn't really want to see Windham win just yet. He didn't want to see him dominate. He wanted him to go out there and pay his dues, learn a little bit, and then be winning championships when he's in his early 20s.
And have some fun with it to start out with. So many times the pressure's applied on you and injuries occur. Lamson, Raynard, Craig, our top three. We'll be back with more 125 action in a moment. Moto of 125 action at Kenworthy's Motocross Park. Our leader is Steve Lamson. We're looking right now as Tim Ferry has taken the lead of this 3-pack with John Dowd and Chad Pedersen.
And it looks like Ferry's starting to pull away right now through some of those Supercross sections right there. And he's been riding good lately. A good ride at Buchanan, another fine ride at Unadilla, 3rd and 4th. It's been up front lately, and it's contract time. I think all these guys are starting to get it in gear towards the end of the season.
Much more aggressive in his riding style in the last 2 races. Of course, Ferry trying to forget about last year with the big crash. He was 3rd in the points at that time, very much in contention for the title. Whoa, Kevin Windham inside does a triple.
I don't believe that. On 125, he doesn't even go to the outside. He just squared off Pedersen and still did the triple anyway with ease. So some of the trickier sections are easier for Windham right now, and he's just slicing his way through the pack.
Windham now in hot pursuit of his teammate John Dowd, and Chad Pedersen losing contact with that group. Windham looking very comfortable, in control.
No, he doesn't look like he's trying very hard. In a lot of cases, it looks like he's still just checking the track out like it's practice, but he's passing guys. So that just tells you how good this kid is and how well balanced. You can see just up ahead of Dowd there is Tim Ferry. And I thought was starting to pull away a little bit, but now you can see that Windham is really tightening it all back up again.
That's 5th, 6th, and 7th positions here in our Moto number 1 as Pedersen now picking up the speed. Robbie Rayner and Michael Craig going at it once again, and Michael Craig takes over 2nd place.
Back and forth through there. It looked like to me that Craig had tried to do all he could to block Raynard, and they probably slowed each other down a little bit in the process, taking some pretty wild lines, but Craig's got a hold of it, and he's looking over his shoulder, making sure. Yeah, I think he's afraid that Raynard might come back in there and give him a little nudge.
This is the 3rd lead change between these 2 riders in 2nd and 3rd positions. Steve Lamson now has just said adios to the rest of the field.
Now it just looks like Craig and Raynard will be battling amongst themselves. No way they're going to catch Lamson this moto.
Our Marty Reed talked with Craig just prior to today's race.
I ride Supercross so much, and that's all I do all day is jump. So that makes me a good Supercross rider. So I had to switch and go out and find some thrash tracks and just hammer motos all day, which, you know, it takes away from my jumping. But, you know, plus I'm going from a 250 to a 125, and next year I'm definitely going to go back to a 250 outdoors. So I think I'm a lot better 250 rider.
What are the plans for next year?
I'm going to stay here with Honda Troy. I'm going to ride 250 outdoor, 250 Supercross, and we got a new rider, Mike Kudrowski. So it's going to be good for me because he's an outdoor rider, and I'm going to train with him a lot.
As far as pressure this weekend, big event for Honda of Troy, obviously, hometown.
Yeah, you know, all year long, Phil's needed a win, and so far no one has done it. And he sponsors this race. It's right down the street from the shop. So, you know, someone's, either me or the other 5 guys, need to get up on the podium and give Phil what he wants. You know, Phil's really hungry for a podium finish.
Does that make you feel good, or does that make you feel nervous?
Makes me feel good, but the way the year's gone, I haven't got on the podium yet. So, you know, I need the first one, and if it could be here, I'll be way more than happy.
That'll be an interesting team. Michael Craig re-upping with Honda of Troy, along with Larry Ward also, and Mike Kudrowski.
It's interesting how a team can change a little bit its way of thinking when a new guy is on board. Remember how things changed at Honda when Rick Johnson came over there, and it did the same thing when Bob Hanna came to the team. Both those guys wanted to win so bad, they're a little bit more to themselves, and it made everybody take their job a little more seriously and try a little harder, a little bit more competition on the team.
Pedersen picking up the slack on number 7 in 7th place, John Dowd. Our leader, Steve Lampson, on the field summary with Craig and Raynard battling it out. Wyndham trying to move up the ladder.
This is one of the newer sections. They added some whoop-de-doos through this little wooded section here. It's a lot tougher. It's going to take its toll on these guys. Look at that line by Pedersen, goes way wide. It's not necessarily any faster, but it was smart not to follow John Dowd through there. If Dowd would have made a mistake, he'd have gotten by, and it worked out in the end.
Pedersen making his move. Last year here, he got 2 great starts. The top privateer in the field. Overall, he finished up 5th with a 4.6.
I think this year you can really see the depth of talent in this 125 class. Here we are 7th and 8th. John Dowd 2nd in the points. You got Ferry just ahead of them, Wyndham. I mean, this class is just stacked, which makes it all that much more impressive that Lampson is able to run away with it out front.
Dowdy, number 7, never really got a great deal of experience on 125. That's what makes this season so unique. He had to get used to a 125 machine before really getting some results.
Well, it was kind of an odd decision, I thought, by Yamaha to throw him back in the 125 class. He ended up 2nd in the 250 Nationals just a couple of years ago, beating out McGrath. But the way the team stacked up, I think they felt like Bradshaw and Henry would be able to do the job in the 250 class, and there was no place left for Dowd. If he figured he would muscle it out in 125, and he's done a pretty good job. He's beaten everybody but Lampson.
And because of jumping early in his career to 250s, he had all kinds of eligibility in the 125s as we look back at Tim Ferry and Chad Pedersen.
These are the monstrous double jumps in the back section. Those get tougher as the day continues. You start getting tired, miss time one of those a little bit, and you'll be in big trouble. It's also a good place for the crowd to hang out. They like those big jumps.
And we have a near record crowd this year in Kenworthy's Motocross Park. Steve Lampson still our leader, but Kevin Wyndham trying to move up the ranks. With Bailey, Marty Reed bringing you the 125 action here in Moto number 1. The real battle as Steve Lampson has taken away out in first place. He could fall down and still win the race, but the battle here is for 2nd place. Number 17, Michael Craig, and number 14, Robbie Raynard, with Damon Huffman now making it a 3-way run.
Huffman really starting to tighten the screws on these guys. He has been able to pass anybody he's caught up to so far today. We'll see if he can do it around both these guys. It seems like they kind of got in a battle amongst themselves and forgot about Lampson, and what's happened is Huffman is moving about the same pace as Lampson's caught these guys, and now it's changed the complexion of the whole battle.
Robbie Raynard moves back into 2nd place, so it's Raynard who's had a very difficult season of it with so many injuries. And Huffman is putting the heat on Michael Craig, the young man from Acton, California. His mechanic is Brian Lettis. Marty is with him right now. Marty?
Brian, it looks like he's closing, and it looks like there might be enough time.
It's pretty close. He's been sitting there just waiting on those guys. I think the other 2 are kind of getting tired. We're really concerned about his Wyndham coming up, so if we can hold position and move up on the other 2 guys, we'll be okay.
Brian Lettis, of course, working with some of the great riders of all time in this sport, taking on a youngster like Damon Huffman. There's got to be a little psychological changes there to bring a young man up through the ranks. And here comes Huffman to the inside, showing his expertise as he takes Michael Craig moving into 3rd.
That's right past the mechanics area, so I'm sure Lunas is going to like that. Now Huffman's got a good look at 2nd place. Raynard right there just coming through your screen. Coming into some of the sections on the racetrack where I think Huffman has a little advantage on everyone else. Some of the timing sections, he's been making up time the whole moto there.
Some of this track looking a little hard-caked.
Well, it's going to, in places, get pretty hard packed. It does through this section right here, but they're going straight, so they don't have to worry about the bike sliding. Watch, they'll do that triple. That lines them up perfect for the next one. Then, boom, over those 3 right there. That's where a lot of guys have trouble. They do the first 2, and then they get all off timing before that right-hander.
A look at Brian Lettis, and look at on his board. Push. He wants him to catch Robbie Raynard in the worst way. Number 14 in 2nd place.
Well, when you get this close, and when you've caught him from that far back, too, and you're able to close in this much in the final laps, he knows that Raynard's a little bit tired, and he should be. He's had a lot of injuries to deal with. He knows he can't be 100%, so why not take advantage of that? Right there, Huffman again a little bit better timing through those rough sections.
It's Lamson way out in front on this final lap, with Robbie Raynard and Damon Huffman battling for second place still.
Anytime it was a hot day, I always liked riding through the shade. It's got to be a lot cooler back in there, but it's because of the shadows, it's a little bit harder to see your lines, too.
When it really gets hot is when you stop riding.
Well, you don't feel it so much. For Lamson right here, he's just happy to be winning the race. He knows it's almost over with, and as soon as he comes in and stops and does that interview with us, that's when he'll really feel tired.
89 points in the lead coming into this race, trucking toward his second consecutive 125 national title. Takes the checkers here in Moto number 1. Robbie Raynard approaching the veteran Guy Cooper, who is running in his second race, but the veteran wisely pulls aside for this battle for second. Raynard holding on. Damon Huffman in third. Still the best finish of the year for Damon. Lamson, Raynard, Huffman are top 3 in Moto 1, with Kevin Windham holding on to 4th. Michael Craig slipping to 5th. Tim Ferry, Pedersen, Dowd, Dobb, and Deegan rounding out our top 10. Let's go down to Marty.
It looked like start was everything, and then it was like put it on cruise control. Great ride.
Yeah, thanks. I did get a good start, and I just felt awesome out there. I'm kind of using my head. I'm riding smart. I think I could have pushed a little bit harder, but what's the use, you know? I mean, I had a good lead. I kept track where everyone else was, and I just rode my own race.
What about second moto now? Will you make any changes? It looked like everything just was flawless.
No, actually, I won't make hardly any changes, I don't think. I'm going to go back, talk to the team guys, and see what they thought, but I don't think we're going to change anything.
Steve Lamson, winner, Moto number 1.
Winning his 10th moto in 17 this year. Robbie Raynard, his best finish by far on the season. Holding off Damon Huffman, whose best finish prior to this was a 4th. Let's go to Marty.
All I can say is congratulations, best run of the season.
Yeah, I've been having a little bit of trouble at Southwick. I got a pretty good start. I was leading, and I dislocated my shoulder. I came back at Unadilla, and I got really tired both motos, so I just tried to pit it together out here. I went home and put a lot of motos in, and it's feeling pretty good. My arms are still a little bit tired, but it's just going to take some time. I think I'll probably feel better for the second moto. I'm usually stronger for it, so we'll have to see.
Well, it looked like about a little past the halfway point that you were getting tired again when Craig got around you.
Yeah, my arms were pumped a little bit, and I was just trying to stay smooth and breathe and try to get them relaxed. And they relaxed a little bit, but they're still kind of tired, so we'll have to see how they feel in the second motor now.
We'll see you then.
Thanks.
Let's giddy up time now for the crews getting ready for moto number 2. We'll be back with the action in a flat as a pancake, so workers have to come in and build it up like a supercross track, David.
It's a huge supercross track. All the jumps are twice as far in most cases. The racing comes right to the fans. There's tunnels under some of the big jumps so the spectators can access all areas of the track. The design goes in and out of the woods and really forces the riders to stay on their toes because there's so many jumps and they're all so big.
Steve Lamson swept this event last year, and of course after such a powerful run in moto number 1, can he sweep it again?
Sure looks like it to me, and you would never know Steve had the big points lead that he does because he just went from gate to flag. Looked like he gave it 100% the whole way.
Kevin Windham many times has been the fastest bike in moto number 2.
Well, you know, I think that's because he doesn't have the experience of seeing some of these racetracks last year having injuries and mono. Didn't see this racetrack, in fact, and maybe just a little more tentative in that first moto.
Steve Lamson, incidentally, he's so powerful in motocross, but he tried another sport the other day and came back with mixed reviews. Marty Reed caught up with him.
What about this golf game I heard about just the other day?
It was pretty, everyone had been laughing pretty good. It was comedy. I had my dad and myself, which I know I'm not very good, and we were hitting balls and hitting people and off course and losing balls, and had everyone yelling at us. So I need to improve on that.
So in other words, you'd have done better if you would have been able to ride the golf course?
Yeah, I think I did better in the golf cart than I did golfing.
The Honda of Troy pits as we look at Mike Brown's bike number 9, having problems with that very sore thumb, placing 39th, and we got a little Mike Gosselaar action here, David.
Put a new clutch in Lamson's 125. You got Stanton there. I don't know what he's reading. Let's see. Looking for a new tractor, I guess.
In the Honda of Troy pits here, Michael Craig's bike getting some work done. And of course, between motos, always the time for the media, as Marty Reed is going over there to find out what Jerry Bernardo's up to these days.
As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Bernardo in total control of Moto World 2 as they're shooting this interview with With Jeff Emig and Greg Albertine, and this is too sane for Jerry. He's normally much more wacko than this.
Riders getting ready at the starting gate. Scott Sheik is not in the field. Neither is Mikel Pichon. Pichon with that virus, which sounds like a wild type thing.
It's kind of an Epstein-Barr deal where the more you train, the worse it is. You just have to try to beef up your immune system to handle it and really monitor your training and not overdo it.
Scotty Sheik just recuperating from some minor injuries as we get set now for Moto 2 right behind the bike of Damon Huffman. Our camera wisely got out of the way. The gate is dropped. Let's see who gets the whole shot this time around. In Moto number 1, it was Steve Lamson. Huffman was battling Wyndham, and Lamson gets tied up in that little ruckus there in the first turn. Damon Huffman, number 10. 17 is Michael Craig, another outstanding start for him, and Chad Pedersen, number 21.
Much better start for Wyndham. He already gets around Craig, and he is so fast in the opening laps. Now he's going to get a chance to battle with Huffman. I don't think these guys have gotten together much this year.
Huffman, our leader. If you're wondering where Lamson is, he is in 19th position right now after that first turn mix-up.
So now it's the opposite from the first moto, with the two fastest guys in this class, really Wyndham and Lamson. Lamson having to work his way through the pack now, and Wyndham got to look at the lead. Looks like he's going to go for it right here.
Oh, at the inside, Kevin Wyndham easily takes Damon Huffman. Take another look.
Wyndham comes out of the inside right here, inside of Huffman, takes so much finesse to get over that triple from there. Goes for the next triple. Then right here he goes for 4 more before the tree. I've never seen anybody do that. That's secured that pass to the lead.
Not so far on the day anyway, David. Kevin Wyndham, the only rider this year to break up Lamson's string of overall victories when he won Glen Helen and Mount Morris back-to-back. Mike Brown in 4th position.
Still nursing that painful hand. Much better position than he was in the first moto. We'll see if he can hang on to it. Towards the end of the race, that really starts to hurt.
Marty Reed in the mechanics area, and he's with Jeff Nutter.
Well, I didn't even expect him to make the second moto, let alone be battling for 3rd this early.
Yeah, neither did I. I mean, he tore his thumb up pretty bad. It's the same hand that he broke earlier this year at St. Louis. It was really doubtful if he was going to even try the second moto. I'm kind of glad he did. I just want him to get out there and stick it out and do the best he can right now.
You got one courageous rider.
I think so.
3rd here last year, Mike Brown. He could have probably had a better finish if he hadn't have collected some flags and lost his brakes.
Well, plus after this round last year, he picked up the points lead. And last year was really just sort of a rookie season and kind of a stepping stone towards hopefully winning the title one day, which hopefully would have been this year with the experience gained last year. And a lot of injuries, and hasn't really been able to cash in on his talents.
Oh, it was so memorable last year, too. Right after Troy, they went to Washougal, where he won his first national. And that was the infamous scene with his mechanic, Jeff Nutter, losing all his facial hair on a bet with his rider. Michael Craig right in front of Mike Brown. And the big question is, how long can Mike Brown hold on with that extremely painful thumb?
Well, once you've gone a few laps and you're up in there, you can forget about it. The adrenaline, the concentration of what's going on, you don't think about it very much. But towards the end of the race, I think it's going to hurt quite a bit.
Lots of people having fun here at Kenworthy's Motocross Park as Kevin Wyndham on top of Huffman, Craig, Brown, and Ferry. We'll be back. Troy, Ohio, Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed. Second moto of the 125s. Interesting battle here is the fact that Steve Lamson has now moved all the way up to 7th position behind Chad Pedersen. The more Lammy moves up, the better chance for another overall victory. He has to get into 3rd position to capture another overall.
Looks like Pedersen gave him a little brake check right there and looks back over his shoulder like, who's this guy that caught me so quick? And back behind these guys is Rayner. So Lamson and Rayner going 1-2 in the first moto, having a battle from behind in the second moto.
Lamson trying to keep a string alive of 4 consecutive overalls. He won the first 2 of the season, then dropped 2. But he has so dominated this 125 season, in great contrast to last year when he won it in the last moto against Ryan Hughes. Steve Lamson trying to move up the ladder after his basic winning style in Moto 1, that is hole shot and breakaway.
Well, he's proven that he can do it from behind. There he's just clearing his vision a little bit. And Wyndham's got clear sailing out front. He won't have any trouble with vision, but Lamson, I think, has the speed to work his way into third, and if he can do it, he'll still get that overall. So it's not over yet. There's plenty of time for him to work his way up.
Wyndham coming off a fine effort at Unadilla, where he had a 4-1 for a second overall, winning his third moto of the year. Number 38 has shown us the speed. Once he gets the terrain down and has a good feel for the track, very few people can catch him.
Well, you can hear how early he gets on the gas through the corners, and off the jumps he's wide open in the air, letting that thing rev. So when he makes contact with the ground, the bike just shoots away. Here he's coming into one of those tricky sections again. That's where he was making up a lot of time.
Steve Lamson in 6th place now, pursuing Tim Ferry. Lammy coming off his very first win at Unadilla. 6 different riders have won motos this year. Pashone, Sheik, Dowd, Dobb, Wyndham, and of course Lamson. Is Lamson now in pursuit of Tim Ferry, trying to get up to that 3rd spot, and Lamson makes a nice inside move. Ferry gave him the space, and Lammy took advantage of it.
Ferry didn't leave much room. He's just taking the best line on the outside, and Lamson just squared right across. Looked like he was using that same line that Wyndham was using to make his move on the Damon Huffman earlier for the lead.
Last year here at Troy, Lammy was a 1-1. Just early battles was all that Lammy saw, because he took away with it in both motos last year.
It's better starts, though, that'll allow you to do that. Right now, I don't care how fast you are. I don't care if you're Jeremy McGrath or anybody. And with a bad start like that, you've got to work your way through so many riders that, of course, if you got Wyndham out front, you're probably never going to catch him unless he makes a huge mistake. That's unlikely.
Lamson keeps saying, I try not to focus at all on how many points I have in the lead. Just focus on the racing itself. Lamson has got a lot of ground to pick up, though, for the next pack of riders.
And he's on pace to do it. You can see that we've only been on this battle between Lamson and Ferry for about a half a lap now, and he's already moved around Ferry and started to pull a little distance on him.
Our leader still Kevin Wyndham, of course, as he's taken away with it. You see here, the fans have a good opportunity to cross back and forth different sides of the track. Wyndham, Huffman, and Craig, the top 3. We'll be back. 5s, we see Mike Brown and Steve Lamson. Lamson trying to recover after a poor start. A mix-up in turn 1 put him back into double digits, and he's fighting now for a 4th place.
He moved right up on Mike Brown right there. He's able to go a little bit farther off some of the jumps. He doesn't have to worry about the landing being painful. And for Mike Brown right there, a little mistake. He knew Lamson was coming. He wasn't going to be much of a fight for him. Why not just get out of the way? It almost looked like he did that on purpose to me, Art.
An easy move for Steve Lamson, moving into 4th, but it is 3rd that he really wants, because if he gets the 1-3, he gets the overall. And that would mean 7 of the 9 overalls on the season.
That's pretty impressive. The guy is more dominant in the 125 class than Jeremy has been in the 250s, it seems, and looks like he's well on his way to another title.
Unlike Jeremy McGrath in the 250s, who has dominated, the riders behind Lamson haven't been able to really put anything together, so he has a big points advantage along with the domination.
Exactly. Emig has been second, third. He finally had an 8th at the last round of Unadilla when his bike got all bent up in a crash. But that happened to me when I was in the 500 Nationals in 1984. I won 16 motos out of 20, and up until the very last race of the season, Brock wasn't that far behind because I only gained 3 points each win. He kept getting 2nd place. So for Lamson right here, it does look like he's got a huge lead, but for Jeremy in the 250 class is still very close despite his dominance.
Kevin Wyndham on his way to winning this moto as he cuts through the cavernous rut right there.
Yeah, those are getting deeper, and there's the one he just used was the one on the inside where we saw in the first moto Lamson squared it on the opening lap. That's now the main line, and that rut has gotten deeper than the original one. So it's very tricky because you come into that and you can't see it till you're actually in it over the top of that little off camber.
Kevin looking for his 4th moto win. Marty Reed's in the mechanics area. Marty.
Allie, he must have read that little note you taped on the handlebars of the bike. Get hole shot and win. He's doing real well.
Yeah, he got a really good start, and he's riding smooth. We just got to hope Lammy does worse in fourth, but it doesn't look like it at the moment. He just passed Brown. He's in third now, so we'll see how it goes. As long as Kevin does the best he can, that's all we can hope for.
Alley trying to advance Lamson one position too soon. He's actually in fourth position. Here we have our leader, Kevin Windham, though, and Damon Huffman, a lonely second place right now. Lamson will take on Michael Craig as we take a look at our Suzuki Field summary. Mike Brown still holding down the 5th spot. But this guy has been flawless out in front.
Came up a little short that time. And just kind of elects to get through there smooth, not try to do anything fancy. He was jumping 4 of those jumps going into that corner a little earlier, but if you mess up the first 3, it ruins the rhythm for the rest of that section.
Lamson, though, is on the move. Whereas Windham is riding conservatively. For him, Lamson is on the edge.
And you can see Lamson in the air looking over to see where Craig was, trying to see if he's gaining any time. He's riding as hard as he can. Goes all the way around the outside of those 2 ruts there, trying to make up a little time.
Here's a guy who's won 10 of 17 motos this year.
One thing's for sure, that Lamson's in shape, and he talked about the first moto having saved a little bit of energy. Why give it 100% when he had the kind of lead he did? And Craig faded back to 5th after running as high as 2nd. That's the guy he's chasing down right now. So if it comes down to energy, Lamson's got the edge.
Let's go to Marty.
Goose, nothing like a little excitement. He needs 3rd place for the overall. He's closing.
Yeah, he's closing pretty good, like a 2nd or better a lap. So we should have enough laps to get by Mike, hopefully.
By my calculations, about 3 to 4, maybe 5 laps at most.
He's right on him right now, so hopefully another lap, he'll be in the position.
And let me guess, you want me to stop talking so you can watch him?
You know what? You can't really see anything here.
In some cases, the spectators have a better viewing of the races than the mechanics do. They have to stay in that designated mechanics area, and here, because it's so flat, they don't get a chance to see the riders. They just see their heads going by above the crowd. It's hard to get splits and different things to write down on the signal board before the riders come around again.
And they come right out of the woods before they hit that mechanics area, so you don't have a lot of time to get the board out there. Steve Lamson in 4th position currently, as Kevin Windham is our leader.
And Goslar seemed pretty confident that there were enough laps, and the pace that Lamson had was going to take him up around Mike Craig. There you see Craig. If Craig just does everything right and hangs on to his lines, doesn't make any big mistakes, he should be able to hang on to it with the time remaining. But if you look back over the past and see what Craig has done, he's the kind of guy that will make mistakes and fade and ride fantastic for a few laps and then blow a couple. So we'll see what he does here.
Well, Lammy gave it his best bet at Buchanan, trying to fight back into a 2nd place position, but Chad Pedersen surprised everybody, wouldn't let him have it.
He banged him around a little bit, and I think that could have been a case of Lamson just underestimating him. Sometimes the privateers, when they can smell that checkered flag, they'll do whatever they got to do to hold you back.
And the check afterwards. Michael Craig now. And an easy inside pass for Steve Lamson.
Another look. Craig comes in on the inside, can't stay in that berm. He hit it too abruptly to try to follow it around, and Lamson had it timed perfectly. He was on the outside and rolled right into the inside line, took it away. It was an easy pass for him.
So Steve Lamson is right where he wants to be to win the overall. Damon Huffman has a little space on him, and I don't know if he has time to catch him before this race is over.
He'll still keep pushing ahead, but he won't make any take any chances, I don't think. As long as he holds off Craig right here for the overall win, he'll be happy. He's done his job. He's come from a bad start, worked his way into an overall position. He's picked up points on everybody else in terms of the title, so he's done his job here today.
Yeah, if he were to finish just as he is now, he'll have a 108-point lead after this race. Kevin Windham, Huffman, and Lamson are top 3, with Craig and Brown rounding out the top 5. Ticks away. Windham, our leader, and 6.3 seconds is the lead, with Damon Huffman in 2nd place. Now, Huffman has started to pick it up a bit.
He has. They were together in the beginning, then Windham got away and established that lead, but now towards the end, it's easy for the leader to go, okay, well, it's only a lap or 2 to go. Let me back it down just a little, and the guy in 2nd has nothing to lose. That's Huffman right here. He's charging 6 seconds. That's the type of a lead where he's going to be very visible for Huffman, and that's motivation to try this a little extra hard.
Still not in the same camera shot as we look at the straightaway by the mechanics area. Damon Huffman is determined to pick up space on our leader, Kevin Windham. Well, that might be to the fans' disappointment, because the fans love it when Kevin's got a big lead. He likes to punctuate his lead with heel clickers. And, of course, it's a fan favorite. Here's Kevin.
Starting to use some different lines now. He came over that jump. Instead of getting to that inside berm, he went a little wider. He went wide there too, so he's just trying to make it a little easier on himself now by having a little bit better run at some of these doubles. You can see that he's taking a little bit easy. It's going to make it easier for Huffman to make up time. For Windham right here, it's obvious that he's still got a good pace going, but
oh, the heel clicker.
You can see that he's starting to relax and have a little bit of fun now, and clearly underestimate Huffman, who has been a guy that's been out with injuries this season, and Windham hasn't seen a whole lot of him, has no idea how fast he can go in the closing stages of the race.
We'll see if he can make things interesting here in the close of Moto number 2, as Steve Lamson, all he has to do is coast in third for his overall victory. Kevin Windham, though, has run a fine race, getting the lead early, just like Lammy did in the Moto number 1, pulling it out and relaxing most of the way.
Through that whoop section right there, Windham backed it down just a notch, and when you do that, you have to hit almost all those bumps right there. So it took him a little longer to get through there. It's a lot rougher when you slow your pace down.
Windham certainly making a statement this year that he has a lot of potential to become a superstar in this sport. And with showtime like that, he's going to have a lot of fans come his way. He looked back over his shoulder right there, David.
Yeah, he just wants to make sure that, well, you can see Huffman is pretty close. That's probably what the crowd's cheering about. And then just back over Huffman's shoulder, you got a glimpse of Lamson coming through. So that's really tightened up here.
It's about 3.5 seconds is all. Windham says, hey, where'd he come from?
He was out there goofing off a little bit, and he should. He's led this moto and earned that right to go out there and show off a little bit, put on a show for the fans, but got a little close towards the end there.
You can see the intensity picked up a little bit now as he comes across at a slow pace for the checkered flag. Kevin Windham, our winner of Moto number 2, followed by Huffman, Lamson, Mike Brown, and Michael Craig, the top 5. A couple of privateers sneaking into the top 10 as we round it off. Let's go down to Marty now with our winner.
Well, obviously, the message got through. Whole shot win, a good ride, and second overall, and you got to be real happy.
Yeah, I am. You know, that moto didn't quite go like I wanted to, even though I won. You know, I'm a little bit tired, but that track's really Supercross. You know, so 30 minutes on Supercross was a little bit tough. You know, I didn't ride as well as I did Unadilla, but everything worked out, and you know, I guess the message did get through. You know, I've been going 4-1 a lot this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was fun to watch, and it looked like at the end you were able to sort of mellow it out. You knew you had control of the race.
Yeah, you know, the last lap I started doing a little hill clicker, and they were a little close, you know, a little closer than I'd like them to be, but you know, the crowd's been asking me all day, so I had to go ahead and do one for them, and it'd be a little embarrassing if I crashed after I did one, but luckily I was able to hold on.
We'll see you next round.
Thanks a lot.
That's the second consecutive 4-1 finish for Kevin Windham. As we take a look at the overalls, Steve Lamson with the 1 and 3, Michael Craig in 5th position. But look at the heroic performance by our 10th rider, Mike Brown, with his injury. Let's go back to Marty now with our overall winner, a very happy Steve Lamson.
At least you made it very interesting for us. I know it's not the way you wanted it to go, but coming back from about 15th to 3rd in the overall.
I rode my butt off that moto. I mean, I didn't get a very good start. I almost went down a couple times. I was really lucky to get out of the first lap without going down. And I just charged the whole way. I knew where everyone was, and I knew what I had to do to get the overall. And, you know, I closed the gap pretty good from pretty far behind. So I'm really happy with my ride.
What I'm amazed at is everybody else looks like they're ready to fall over from the humidity, and you still look pretty fresh.
Yeah, I feel good. I could keep going. But
no. We're not going to do it anymore.
No, I really felt good, though. I mean, I've been training a lot with Jeff Stanton. He's been letting me stay at his house, and it's paying off. I've been trying really hard, and it's showing, definitely.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'd like to do it, but we're out of time.
Yeah, all right, that's good.
Lamson's on his way to the 125's all-time dominating season, leading by 108 points. You have to go all the way back to '78 when Brock Glover won the title by 110 points. Marty?
this is definitely one of the gutsiest performances we've seen in quite a while. How's the thumb, and how did you manage to make it go?
Just pure craziness, I guess. I mean, I wanted to race. I ain't coming up here to finish second to nobody. I'm out here just to prove every weekend, and it seems like every weekend I come out here, little things happen to me, put me in the back, but all I got to say is next year will be my year.
Do us a favor, go to the doctor now and get this thing stitched up.
All righty, thanks.
Lamson dominating moto number 1, Wyndham dominating number 2. I'd like to see them battle together, bike to bike.
Well, I'd like to see that too, but Wyndham's going to have to get off the line consistently, and I think that for next week, they just need to leave that piece of tape on his handlebar. It says whole shot and win. Just leave it there and do good in the first moto too.
He's moved into second place in the points as we see him do his patented heel clicker, Kevin Wyndham. Brian